something with you about spirituality. And the nice thing about spirituality is it's so inclusive, and its focus is about the experience of life. And we're going to draw upon C.W. Leadbeater's An Outline of Theosophy. And it's rather short. He tells us that upon reincarnation, memory of a previous life is gone, in order that we may not be bound to its potential senseless passions. And for some of us, this makes sense. And a lot of others, they become, well, to me, it appears that they become obsessed with a past life persona. And when I look around, especially when I look at my life, and typically it's no different than anybody else's life. I go to work, I come back, well, I'm not working now, but I've got a job because I am producing material. And it seems so mundane. And it just baffles me that fame and fortune is sought even in the past. It's just an observation, something that you might want to consider, that our past lives would most likely be just as mundane as we might think our present life is. Would anyone like to comment?
Yeah, I would agree. The way I have come to see it is that because I've been involved in past life regression workshops and in various times, and the conclusion that I came to in my own discoveries there was that if it if something in a past life directly pertains to what you are trying to do and learn today, then has value for you. It needs to be important to this journey right here. Everything else is just entertainment, and can be a distraction, can lead us off of our path, and it all comes back to um, what you described as the mundane that sometimes just seems like so maybe not terribly important in the scheme of things, but it is what we are here to experience. We are here to be in the moment and have this human experience, and not to get distracted by, uh, these bigger ideas that we talk about in our spirituality here are important as we reintegrate into our greater being. But it all still focuses about what we do day in and day out, going to bed and getting up and eating something, and our interaction with life and people around us moment by moment. Good thing to talk about today, Reverend Philip.
Yeah, thank you. And I agree with that as well. It is the mundane that makes our life important. And I would like to thank you for allowing me to share that. And I'd like to present to you Reverend Thomas, our inspirational speaker today. I'm sure he's got some wonderful pieces of wisdom to share with us, if you please.
Thank you, Reverend Philip. Um, Reverend Bill um, follows someone and shares that information, and so he led me to this, and I subscribed to Owen Waters' newsletter, um, Infinite Being, and there was an article about the afterlife in a recent issue of that. Now, Owen Waters is the author of a compilation of deep insights, spiritual metaphysics, answers to the great mysteries of life. Quite a grand title, and I can't say that I've read that yet, but I have seen really good things from the work that he publishes, and I need to put that on my list. So I thought I would share some of what was in this newsletter as a way of beginning a discussion that we would have. Uh, we all have ideas about the afterlife. Spiritualism is that's a big part of what spiritualism is all about. To remove the fear of that, to assure that, improve that there is an afterlife, there is a continuity to consciousness. Life in the afterlife. The conquest of fear is one of the primary reasons for life on earth. Without it, the doorway to the next primary lesson, that of unconditional love, remains closed. When people incarnate into this world, they leave behind an extensive soul family combined with the brain's focus upon the external senses creates an environment where fear can potentially become enormous. In fact, the human body on the physical plane of Earth is the perfect place to experience fear in a wide variety of forms and to learn to overcome those fears by gaining inner strength. If someone were attuned to the higher spheres of the spirit world and saw themselves as a wise and powerful spirit who just happens to use a physical vehicle, then the opportunity for fear just wouldn't be the same. The fear of death today is all pervasive. And that leads us into what spiritualism offers in the messages that we share at all of our services frequently. Is a testament, is proof, is an assurance that there is a continuity of life, and that gives us hope and that gives us purpose. The other part is the insights and the guidance, the direction, um, perhaps coaching is the better word for what comes to us from spirit, from the other side. Because it's essential that we do not give over importance to the guidance that we receive, because we each hold the responsibility for the choices that we make. We must choose. And like the guidance that you would get from anyone, Beth earlier was talking about a financial advisor. You go to an expert and they will advise you, but ultimately you will make the decision and you will experience the results of that decision. And that's what comes to us from spirit. And as good as the guidance may be, there will be times when we have a broader insight and we weigh that in the balance of things, but we make the decision about how to utilize that, and whether to utilize that, and what to do with it. But releasing fear of the afterlife is just perhaps the first step to truly living, and living in a way of uh, having let go of that burden, and perhaps um, more in the joy of embracing this experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. And because we have some sense, some glimpse of a greater purpose on the other side. And let me stop there and open for questions and comments about. Not all at once, please.
I'll start. I've read similar things, and it makes a lot of sense to me. In fact, that might have been Many Lives, Many Masters. That book fascinated me. That was like one of the first spirituality books that I read, and it's like, yep, this this explains a lot.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to present this is it presents another voice, another way of saying that. It's not the first time that I've encountered that. It's something that I've embraced for a long time. And as you suggested there, that it's not the first time you've heard it either. But for me, it is usually helpful to hear the same truth presented in a new way, because it kind of enhances it, it reinforces it. It may give it a greater three-dimensional quality as far as understanding of it.
I know. I'm trying to think of how I want to. The comment you made about releasing the fear of the afterlife, the fear of not knowing, the fear of leaving here, the fear of
fundamentalist religion, has the big carrot and the big stick of heaven and hell, and it's binary. You're going one way or the other.
Right.
And or just fear of not knowing, not being sure. What happens when we die? That's got to be the big question on any human being's mind. And people address that in various ways. There are people that are atheists that are quite content, feeling like, when the light blinks out, it's all over. And
right.
A lot of ways to approach that, but one way or the other, that certainly is a question, if not a fear, that we all commonly will have.
Well, I was very, I just felt exactly what you just said about hearing the same truth in a different way. And that was exactly what I was thinking when you were speaking. And that basically everything you said was kind of what Sharon and I were raised with. So it was a very comforting, home-like feeling to hear that, because I haven't really heard that in a long time. So it just kind of brought you right back to a grounding place. I don't know how else to describe it, but that was the way I felt about it. It was good. Very good. I needed to hear that today. It was good.
Good.
The whole idea of an afterlife, there was a time when it fascinated me. And that fascination is no longer there for whatever reason. The discovery that all that I can accomplish in the afterlife, so to speak, I can accomplish here. So that's where I focus my energies, is to make those accomplishments here. Because as I delve deeper and deeper into spirituality and cleaning up some stuff that I researched regarding spiritualism and such, it all points to the advantage of accomplishing here what you believe you can do there. The rewards are much more intense. So I'm caught up in what Jesus said, make the inside the outside, the outside the inside. So I don't believe that has much bearing on what you were presented. So for that I apologize.
To me, it's quite relevant. Um, I would I would describe it as a comfort level with the idea of the afterlife. That I'm convinced, as what I hear you saying, you are convinced that it's nothing to be concerned about, and I agree wholeheartedly that in that understanding, the focus comes back to what I'm doing in this physical life is the what is important, and that's where my focus and energies need to be. The understanding of that there's something beyond this, in the spirit realm, and that maybe we can do things there we can't do here. But the real key point is that there are things we can do only do here, or that we can do more effectively here than we can on the other side. And having this experience and this idea of amnesia, um, touches on what we talked about earlier about reincarnation. And again, the benefit of anything that we can learn about possible past lives is is how relevant is it to our journey today? What how does it how does it have impact on what we're trying to do today? If if uh, if one of the things that we're experiencing is has to do with repeated relationships, um, we may discover in past lives that um, we had the same problem in other past lives, and that may reinforce what we're doing today. And if we discover that one of our partners was a partner in a past life, and we tried and failed to have a relationship, that may be important to us. But not getting lost in the interest of that, and taking that to however that may serve us in what we're doing right now to be successful in what it is we came here to experience. That is the value in that discovery, and that may encapsulate the value in all of our spiritual studies. Everything that we learn, if we can't apply it to what we're doing in our daily life as far as our progress and our growth, then it um, it's still intellectual and not practical. Where the rubber meets the road, you know, it's and one of the things that I had to face in some of my own growth was that you couldn't use spirituality to get around the swamp that is our personal transformation. You've got to wade right into our own personal transformation and all of the things that we would like to, um, you know, ignore. We got to wade into it, and we got to heal it, and we have to come out the other side, and for the better of it. Because our spiritual studies can be an escape, just like anything can be an escape. And just a reminder that it all comes back to the now. We've heard it before, the present moment, bringing our energies into the present moment, and being present for whatever is happening. We talked before about how great, washing dishes time can be, kind of the spontaneous focus that happens where we're just kind of comfortably in the moment, and the insights flow, and we can make use of that experience and make it happen in other moments, because being fully present in a moment is the most powerful thing that we can do, and we will extract the most from that experience when we're fully present. The obvious, the moments when we are lost in thought, somewhere else, or concerned about something that hasn't happened yet, or fretting over something from the past, something that has already happened. I mean, that's when, you're likely to put the milk in the cupboard instead of the refrigerator because you're not present in the moment. And, and you really can't accomplish, um, either of those things when you're not together. You're not integrated in the moment.
Here's a question. You talked about that newborn baby instantly having amnesia. Well, sometimes they don't have amnesia. They may not remember how to walk and all of that kind of stuff, but they remember things that from the past lives and all of that. And
A lot of evidence for that.
yeah, my grandson talked about things all the time. His brothers, his sisters. I mean, he was getting a haircut and he told the lady about his brother, and then and his brothers, and when they left, they gave him a candy and do you want a piece for your brothers? And my daughter's going, no, there aren't, there were no brothers, but he talks about these people like they're in his life every day.
Mm-hmm.
He did. He doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
And so, but when he was here in April, I don't know if I told you this, he said to me, I was putting him to bed, and he said, Grandma, I don't remember what it was like before I was born anymore.
Oh my goodness. It doesn't get more direct than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I couldn't
How
believe
powerful.
I was, I knew that day was going to come, but it made me sad because I love to hear him talk about this stuff.
Sure.
And it just really, oh my goodness, it just broke my heart. And I said, I know it's okay though, it's okay. But he's so worldly. He's so worldly now, with his, the
That's
things.
that's what you have to offer him, is that it's okay.
Yeah.
That it's okay, and it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And get him excited about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the life before him this time.
He has so much to give. I see his mind. He's so smart, and he's just gonna, I don't know what he's gonna do, but whatever it is, it's gonna be good. He has this engineering mind that he could just do anything. I think he could do anything. So anyway, that reminded me of that, and that whole, the whole reincarnation thing, not getting caught up in that past. And I also wanted to say that, like in my own family, I feel like we all, we didn't always all get along, but I feel like we all had lessons to learn from the others, because my sisters, we all kind of thought a certain way, but our two brothers they're like from another world. They were like, honest to God, they were like, who are you? We don't even know you, but obviously we were supposed to learn something from them. And I hope they learned something from us, because we seemed so different. And my brothers were that the front end and the back end, us girls were in the middle. So there was a lot of years between. So it's interesting, that whole dynamic of birth order and how, and just learning. But and a little side note, then I always felt like Sandy and I were more like one unit. Like there was my older sister, but then Sandy and I were like, we had a relationship, and then we had a relationship with them. It was different. So,
Yeah.
or it was very different. So I'm curious, spiritually and reincarnation wise, that's a whole other thing. Why two people come back together instead of just one at a time, or like quadruplets. What's that all about? It's just really, there are 5 spirits that have all come back together for a reason. And you wonder, I think that's just so interesting is, they're siblings, but the fact that they're all the same age is, that alone is a whole other.
It's a unique experience. There's no
Right.
question about that.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that comes to mind is that, our siblings hold the keys to our secret places. Nobody can push your buttons like a sibling. And so they serve us in that way. Not until we're really ready to be served in that way. It's just a big, huge irritation until then. But I think we can translate this to the spirit level, and that we are serving each other in that way too. Because from if we have had past lives together, there is that spirit memory hanging out there waiting to be tapped, that that may be part of the plan for why we came together or incarnated at the same time in the whatever way that is, whether it's twins or quintuplets or just siblings. We come together, and we uniquely can play off of each other to help us with whatever I like to call our soul's agenda is for this particular lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we all have one. We all have a plan that made sense in spirit, and it just may take us a while here in the mundane to figure out what in the heck is going on, and to recognize the patterns, and get busy with saying, "Oh, okay." Rather than fighting this, I'm going to work with it and go work through it and get to the other side, and this personal transformation takes place in the process. That it wasn't there to punish. That's the age old observation, is that there's reward and punishment, as opposed to understanding that from a higher level of perspective of cause and effect. And cause and effect you can learn from. If it just feels like punishment, it's easier to miss the connecting the dots, and mastering that situation, rather than just being victimized by it. Any other comments before I close? This is the last part of Owen Waters' uh, writing here. The most valuable dreams to write down are the ones where you become lucid enough to awake in the middle of a dream that seems particularly vivid. Those are the dreams where you were out there, far enough to have been in contact with old friends in the spirit realm, and not just hovering close to your physical body, untangling the stresses of the day. The deeper dreams of the night, the ones where you soared high into the spirit world, can be recalled by just intending to do so while in a deep and peaceful meditation session. When it comes to issues of life and the afterlife, always have faith in the flow of life. There is a deeply interplanned synchronicity which unfolds through every important event in the life. There is a self-made plan unfolding through everyone who has ever graced this physical earth with their wise and powerful spirits. And remember, the amnesia was just part of the game. And I leave that with my love and blessings. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you for that, Reverend Thomas. Some wonderful bits of wisdom there for us to share with others and to